In the 90s, Buju Banton emerged as one of the most popular reggae dancehall artists. Some of his songs, though, drew substantial criticism for their offensive lyrics. Over the years, Buju remained a high-profile star and branched out using a variety of elements, including R&B, hip-hop, and folk. Then, a conviction on drug trafficking charges in the U.S. curtailed his career for the better part of a decade, and had people wondering if he would ever get the chance to dominate the music charts again. Mark Anthony Myrie, professionally known by his stage name Buju Banton, was born the youngest of 15 children in Jamaica's capital city of Kingston. Though financially impoverished, the Myrie family were proud descendants of the Maroons, African warriors who freed themselves from slavery and established their own promised land in Jamaica. His father, an aspiring singer, provided for the family through manual labor, while his mother sold fresh produce in a nearby market. It was she who gave him the affectionate nickname Buju. Banton, a Jamaican word that refers to someone who's a respected storyteller, was adopted by Buju in tribute to DJ Buju Banton, whom he admired as a child and whose style he tried to match. At the age of 12, Buju picked up a microphone and began toasting, a style of lyrical chanting which, in dancehall music, involves a DJ talking over a rhythm. He did so originally under the moniker Gargamel. In 1987, he released his first single called The Ruler. He continued to release a number of other singles in the late 80s, but didn't receive any significant attention until 1992 after the release of 2 albums, Stamina Daddy and Mr. Mention, the latter becoming the best-selling album in Jamaican history upon its release. Mr. Mention also includes many of his greatest hits from that year, including Bonafide Love, featuring Wayne Wonder, the singer who gave Buju his first major stage appearance on the annual Jamaican stage show Sting. Controversy erupted over another one of the album's tracks, and Buju's first major hit, Love Me Browning, an ode to light-skinned women that drew the ire of Jamaica's sizable darker-skinned population. As penance, he released a follow-up single called Love Black Woman. That year, he also broke the record for the most #1 singles in one year in Jamaica, previously held by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Also at this time, an unofficial release of a very controversial song would keep many people talking for decades to come. Boom Bye Bye, released in 1992, but recorded several years earlier when Buju was just 15 years old, has been widely criticized for its lyrical content as supporting taking the lives of gay men. The backlash also threatened to destroy his career. The song would become the subject of outrage across the US and Europe, and Buju would subsequently issue a public apology. He signed with international major label Mercury Records and released his third studio album, Voice of Jamaica, in 1993. The album included a number of conscious tracks, including Deportees, a song criticizing Jamaicans who went abroad but never sent money home, Tribal War, a criticism of political violence, and Willie, Don't Be Silly, a celebratory safe sex anthem. That same year, Buju took control of his business by establishing his own label, Gargamel Music. Around this time, Buju was also deep in the throes of a transformation. He was embracing the Rastafari movement and had begun growing dreadlocks. His performances and musical releases also took on a more spiritual tone. By the mid-90s, Buju's music had become more influenced by his faith, as heard on his very next project, 1995's Till Shiloh. Touted as a masterpiece, the album's fusion of dancehall with live instrumentation and classic roots reggae consolidated Buju's move into social awareness and signaled his arrival as an artist able to make major creative statements. The album included the singles Murderer, Untold Stories, Wanna Be Loved, and Champion the Remix.
Me all a walk like a champion, talk like a champion. What a piece of money, girl, tell me where you get it from.
Over the next 15 years, Buju released 6 more albums, including 1997's Inner Heights, which picked up where Till Shiloh left off, but received less acclaim, 2003's Friends for Life, a crossover record with elements of hip-hop, R&B, and pop, and the one that got him his first Grammy for Best Reggae Album, 2010's Before the Dawn. In 2009, Buju was arrested in Miami on charges related to drug dealing. He was charged with conspiracy to distribute and possession of more than 5 kilograms of cocaine. He went in and out of custody over a tumultuous 2-year period and endured a mistrial. During that trial, audio recordings were presented of Buju and a drug dealer turned government informant discussing drugs, drug prices, and smuggling. He was also seen on a video recording meeting the informant in a police-controlled warehouse, tasting cocaine from a kilogram bag. Ultimately, in February 2011, Buju was convicted of illegal possession of a firearm and conspiracy to possess cocaine with intent to distribute. He was sentenced to 10 years and 1 month in a federal prison for the cocaine trafficking conviction. 2 years after that, his time at McRae Correctional Facility in Georgia was reduced to 7 years after a judge discarded the gun charge. Buju also suffered a divorce during his incarceration with his Ghanaian socialite wife, Nina Atala. Buju was released in December 2018 and finally able to reunite with his rather large family, including 17 children, some of whom he's apparently had a volatile relationship. His daughter, Abigail, was reported missing by her family in 2021 after making claims that her famous father choked her and tried to take her life. The year before, Buju's son, Jahaziel, announced he was no longer using the family name Myri. He also posted several cryptic tweets, which social media users surmised were directed at his father. Buju's eldest son, Marcus, has also dealt with his father's wrath. Buju allegedly got into a physical altercation with him shortly after he came to Jamaica after being deported following his prison term. Upon his release from prison, Buju hit the ground running, starting with his The Long Walk to Freedom tour. He made history with his homecoming concert at Jamaica's National Stadium in March 2019. Not since Bob Marley's One Love Peace concert in 1978 had the venue completely filled its 35,000 seats. 27 years after its release in 2019, Buju and his team chose to officially remove Boom Bye Bye from his catalog. His team pulled the song from streaming platforms such as Apple Music and Spotify, and Buju himself announced his intention to never perform the song again. At the end of the year, Buju entered a partnership with Jay-Z's Roc Nation and produced the full-length Steppa's Rhythm in early 2020. Upside Down 2020, his first full-length album in a decade, arrived that June and included guest spots from John Legend, Pharrell, Stefflon Don, and Stephen Marley. In a July 2020 interview with The Breakfast Club, Buju spoke candidly about the real reason he believes he got locked up, pointing the finger to a collusion between the Jamaican and US governments to neutralize and silence him. Them neutralizing me wasn't a part of God's plan. All the great men that I have read about, they've all gone to prison. All have to go through that form of persecution, even Christ. They thought they were doing bad, but my God is the greatest planner. According to Buju, it all started with an altercation he had with a guy who he says came out of his mouth the wrong way, and Buju had to put him back in place. Apparently, the man had an affiliation to an LGBTQ+ group, and they started using that as an angle to justify him becoming a fixture on the government's radar. He also vehemently denied claims that he has a cocaine habit, reaffirming that the only substance he's known to consume is that green sacrament of his religion. Buju's latest work showcases his return to the dancehall scene with the release of the single Mada Bada in June 2022. A prelude to his forthcoming album, the track is reminiscent of the classic dancehall rhythm with contemporary sounds and hardcore lyricism that first brought him to prominence in the 90s. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you won't miss any future videos. See you next time.